Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to Game 2 in a series between Evil Genius's Idra and Evil Genius's Puma here on almost at Shadow Temple, Tall Dream Altar. We have Evil Genius's Puma spawning as a blue Terran player on the bottom right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Evil Genius's Idra spawning on the top left hand side of the map as the red Zerg. Right now, I'm going to try to do less play-by-play commentary, more just analysis and talk about the game. Hopefully I can do that. I do tend to ramble on a little bit, but then again, I know some of you guys just listen to my voice and don't even watch the game sometimes, as you may be doing something else. So I'll try to do a little bit of a balance for you. So Evil Genius's Idra on the top left, Puma on the bottom right, as I already mentioned. And this is going to be full cross spawns here on Shadow Temple. Now, this does mean that Idra should be able to establish his second base rather quickly, but the problem with this version of Shadow Temple for Zerg players is that there's no real easy way to establish a third. The closer third base that you can establish is actually over here, but it's very difficult to transfer queens and drones to, since you have no real way of getting up and down this cliff right there. You could try to establish a hatchery over here, but then again you would only be able to really utilize one Vespene Geyser, and you would still have some time before you can take down these destructible rocks. So it's a little bit of a give and take. What I think a lot of players said that the GSL maps tend to favor Zerg a little bit more. I don't know if that is the case any longer, as this was originally a GSL map that was moved away that was updated by Blizzard some time ago. Now, Idra does have his 15 hatch already coming into play. It looks like he may be going for a spawning pool right behind it. Meanwhile, Puma opening up with a 15 command center, so something that you rarely ever see. I think this is really because Puma knows Idra's style, and Puma's really hoping that he can keep up with Idra's economic style and economic game. So very interesting to see how this is all going to go down. Will Puma be able to establish this command center here? He is going for a refinery and then going for a barracks. So this is one of those very interesting strategies. He may be able to get very close to 100 gas right as that barracks completes, and then he should be able to get a factory and then start training up some of those Hellions that work so well on a map as large as this. Now, coming and taking a look back at Idra's base, Idra, with that spawning pool and that extractor, he needs to really power drone his way into this game. He should have a pretty free license to drone for quite some time. This drone will be able to spot this command center here and know that, and his opponent pretty much can't have all too much that early on. We are getting another queen being trained up at this hatchery. We may get a third queen as well, as creep spread is very important on a large map. One of the benefits of creep spread is it almost gives Zergling the same movement speed as that metabolic boost when you're running on creep itself. Back over here, the drone will be retreating and returning home. Will that drone perhaps try to set up a hatchery over here in order to get that additional gas is going to be the key question. Idra now sitting at 28 over or 30 over 36 compared to Puma's 21 over 38, so he is a bit behind. Puma has a lot of work to do in order to catch up. There are Zerglings now scouring the field, trying to deny any serious scouting there, as we are now going into that third queen that I mentioned. Very important, as Idra definitely needs that creep spread. Now, Idra is a very good, very strong macro player. His basic style is just basically defend early on and then use the spawn larva mechanic from Zerg in order to be able to surpass your opponent in terms of overall economy, and then punish him with a larger force in every battle. Idra is going for that standard one spine crawler here, so one spine crawler plus 3 queens, generally more than enough to fight back. And you're going to see perhaps a creep tumor added here or down over here in order to start building that creep highway. But this queen, I'm not quite sure where she's going now. Perhaps going to come back over here in just a moment. Not quite sure why the queen's deciding to push off in this direction. But a lot of creep tumors could be laid down. But we are now going into a cloaking field with banshees. So Puma opening up with early banshees. Not quite sure why he's not training a banshee just quite yet. He does already have cloaking field being researched. There's the banshee. Banshee. I don't think he was supply blocked unless I misread something, and he had the resources, so that may have been a little bit of a miscue there. You can see mules are being brought into play by Puma, as these destructible rocks may get taken down in the next 3 minutes or so. I'm still curious as to what Idra's strategy is going to be, as Idra is now going into an evolution chamber. He needs to get 2 spore crawlers, 1 at each base, or he needs to hurry up and get into tier 3 so he can just morph in an overseer. He does have the benefit of 3 queens right now, and that cannot be neglected. So 3 queens, one of them should have enough energy to do a transfusion by the time that Banshee does try to engage. Overlord off over here. You can see the Banshee is now on the move, going to make a mad rad dash all the way across the field. But unfortunately, there are going to be a lot of... Actually, no, Puma activating both of these Xel'Naga towers is going to know that he pretty much has a free flight all the way into his opponent's base. Cloaking field now completed, as a second Banshee now being added in. And interesting positioning on the barracks here. I think Puma, if he's not careful, can actually trap some of his units on the inside. Inside here, if he adds on those tech labs and those reactors, you can now see, oh, an overseer is quickly trying to be morphed in. And it looks like, oh, no drone kills. There's finally 1. I believe there's 3. So 3 drone kills already. The queens are trying to stay in touch and try to figure out where exactly that Banshee is. In comes an overseer. The overseer now revealing that Banshee. Banshee taking a lot of damage and finally being pushed away. Worker kills only 4, so not really worth the resources and the energy and time spent just quite yet into going into early Banshees. It looks as though we may be going into a reactor now, and Puma was very smart. He did try to change locations just a little bit, making sure that he didn't trap any of his units, swapping locations with his factory as well, so we should start seeing siege tanks. Now, Idra's strategies, he does have 1 overseer, now going to lay down some creep tumors, and running off of 3 bases, Idra should be able to power drone just a little bit more. He does have map control once again with those Mutalisks ever so powerful against Banshees, as Mutalisks fly faster than Banshees and also can attack Banshees. Banshees can't fight back. Don't ask me why those backlash rockets can't attack air. It looks like they could attack air if they were just... I'm trying to make a joke, but I will just go ahead and cancel that for 75 minerals. Anyways, Banshee and Hellions now attempting to clear out these rocks, as we are going to be getting a missile turret over here. There is still the low hit point Banshee on the top right-hand side of the map. We'll have to keep track of that and see what exactly Puma tries to do with this, as the Mutalisks are now pushing their way across the field. There is 1 missile turret back over here. Another missile turret could be added as well, as it looks as though, this missile turret will quickly get destroyed and not canceled in time. The Marines are trying to fight back. The Zerglings are not going to be able to do all too much, as it looks as though a flock of Mutalisks have come in order to get more damage on even more of those units once again. It looks like another SCV going to get destroyed, as the Marines are finally able to offer in some support. Idra now establishing his 4th base before Puma has established his 3rd. This is definitely bad news, but the orbital command will be able to land in just a moment. Missile turret is there. 1 of them is operational. Perhaps adding another missile turret would be able to help defend against that ever prominent harassment. A new Banshee now coming in from the left side. He does spot this hatchery. The Overlord does spot the Banshee doing a flyby, and in comes some Mutalisks. In comes a quick cloak. That Banshee pilot desperately hoping that there is no Overseer nearby at all, able to just simply sneak through and now continue to move along his merry way. Zergling's now down over here. We'll see what exactly this Banshee is going to be doing. He could decloak right now, but he doesn't want to decloak. If he decloaks, he will end up revealing himself to the Zerglings at the Xel'Naga towers, and he wants to make sure that he does not reveal himself at all. There are a couple of Zerglings now coming in. It looks like as though Banshee's going to get some easy kills there, as the Mutalisks are still looking for this, a drop that was never spotted, and there's still this Banshee on the top right-hand side of the map. Puma could have that 1 Banshee escort this as well, and perhaps get a little bit more damage in, but it doesn't look like even Puma knows that he still has that Banshee on the top right-hand side, of the map. Zerglings now back over here. It looks as though a drop should be coming in just a moment. Banshee once again pushing in pressure, denying sight, and a drop may happen over here on the high ground and perhaps unload itself first before trying to push in. Level 1 armor upgrades has been completed. Level 1 weapons upgrade. No, sorry, level 1 weapons upgrade has been completed. Level 1 armor upgrades about to be completed as the Marines simply just run into this group. A swarm of Zerglings, however, going to quickly come in here. The Marines, some of them were able to jump back inside that medevac as we are now going into Spine Crawler, and Infestation Pit by Idra. Idra looking to just perhaps move into tier 3. A lot of Zerglings looking to swarm back in once more. One Spine Crawler has completed. The other Spine Crawler has completed as well. And those Marines are not going to be able to get back in at all as the Overseer keeping track of that medevac. And that medevac is now pulling away. Mutalisk now trying to put pressure on this back location here, going some damage onto the SCVs. Marines able to come back and reinforce though, and push that attack back once more. Taking a look at the armor, I do not believe there are any armor upgrades at all. And a quick Mutalisk, I believe that was a Mutalisk, quickly getting destroyed, trying to fly back in. And it looks like this low empty medevac will also get destroyed by Mutalisk as it tries to do a flyby. And once again, another unit lost in transit. 2393 versus 2125 total resources lost. 9 drones being trained. So Idra now just power droning his way through the mid game. Should be very interesting to see what he's going to be able to do with all of those units and all of that economy. Mutalisks are now hiding themselves off over here. We'll see what's going to be happening in just a moment with all of these units as the Zerglings are now once again backing off even further. Zerglings now going to try to surround, able to destroy one quick Marine and one lone Marine as Puma really only running off of 3 bases. And if he really wants to give Idra a difficult time, he needs to establish up another base somewhere, somehow. He needs to either expand into this location here at the 3 o'clock or this location at the 9 o'clock. The siege tanks do not have weapons upgrade. Marines will soon be 2-2. And total army compositions, you see a much stronger army coming in from Idra as the Mutalisks were able to come in and snipe down another siege tank in transit. Taking a look at the Mutalisks in the sky, 30 Mutalisks in the skies right now. So 30 Mutalisks, each of them dealing 10 damage per attack, with that Glaive Worm dealing even more damage. So that's going to be a lot of splash damage to be had. Mutalisks need to be very, very careful. Going to try to engage. Zerglings are now going to try to push in. Banelings coming in from behind. It looks like the Banelings are not going to be able to reach their target as the Mutalisks are going after Banelings and Marines, and it looks as though the Mutalisks will be able to come out slightly ahead in this battle. Idra getting a lot of damage. Back over here, there is a drop coming in from Puma. 2-2 upgraded Marines. It looks like this hatchery may get sniped down as reinforcements once again being added into the field. 10 Marines, 2 siege tanks, 12 Mutalisks once again being retrained. So this Mutalisk flock will all of a sudden grow much larger once again, as you can now see a total of 30 Mutalisks in the air once more. Another medevac drop happening off over here, trying to take down all of those key buildings, but it's not going to work as the Marines are able to destroy all of these Mutalisks here and take down the Mutalisks are able to take down the Marines and take down that medevac as well. But it looks as though we are going to have a high ground siege over here, and this is going to definitely be a problem. As does Idra know about this? No, Idra does finally spot this. There are some Marines and some medevacs over here as well, as this drop is now going to be going along the far side, perhaps trying to drop into this location or even to this location once again. This is looking to be very promising as a flock of Mutalisks now trying to push their way in. The Marines should have been closer. That was one free siege tank that they were able to destroy. You do not want to give free kills at this stage in the game. Each siege tank, each Mutalisk is very, very important, as another drop now coming in. It looks like the flock of Mutalisks will be able to get there in time, but a lot of Marines in that group and now flying straight into a group of Mutalisks. Poor medevac flyer. We can see that this hatchery will get destroyed as another drop happening over here as well. So Puma everywhere at once on the mini-map, with the squadron of Marines dealing so much damage, reminding me of what I am MVP's particular playstyle, just multiple drops, or MMA, excuse me, back at an MLG a couple months ago. You can see now this medevac perhaps going to do another drop back over here. It looks like it may go down, or it may be executed in just a moment, and we are now sitting at 6,000, or total of 10,000 resources versus only 8,000, but the production tab does show level 3 weapons and armor upgrade coming in. The Mutalisk perhaps getting a little bit of that Mutalisk sense, knowing that a medevac was in transit and able to snipe it down before it reaches its target. 2 Marines going to be left alone to die from a swarm of Zerglings here, and now we finally see Puma trying to establish a new base. The command center over here may be upgraded to an orbital command, or it may land as a planetary fortress, as SCVs are not going to be able to survive that fight there. Medevacs are in position. It looks like the planetary fortress is on the move, as you can now see Mutalisks. Over 30 Mutalisks now, I believe. 37 Mutalisks in the air, looking to destroy and take down those targets wherever they may be. Level 1 weapons upgrade, no level 2 weapons upgrade, surprisingly enough. Marines and siege tanks once again on the move here. It looks like these Marines are going to just try to do a bit of scouting as the Mutalisks simply fly by. SCVs unable to repair that Thor in time at all, as that Thor just getting shot down and magic boxed by Idra. SCV is desperately trying to run away now, but this is not looking good. It looks like another Thor will get destroyed before it even finishes training. The Marines are finally able to make their way over, but in comes another drop. Puma just trying to be everywhere at the map at once. However, this one Marine with level 2 armor upgrade still not enough, as there is 1 Marine and 1 Zergling continuing to fight. It looks like it may be enough there. So this one lone Marine going to try to fend off the rest of this horde, but so many Zerglings coming in, and Puma really needs to pick up that 1 Marine. It doesn't look like he did so. Mutalisks looking to once again just fly by and get more damage. SCV is going to get destroyed here. There is going to be a Thor. The Thor does get 1 round of javelin missiles into the backs of those Mutalisks, as the Mutalisks are attempting to run away. A line of siege tanks, so Puma with a very large siege tank army, but mainly his army is still consisting of a lot of Marines. 1,900 resources of Marines right now. Excuse me, not 19, 5,000. Wow, 104 Marines. 104 3-2 upgraded Marines. That is going to be absolutely scary. We need some banelings, and we need them fast, or infestors with fungal growth, as Marines once again dropping off over here, being everywhere at once. Idra having just difficulty after difficulty trying to predict where exactly Puma will go next. There is an infestor off over here. Will the infestor be able to even spawn an infested Terran up onto the high ground? Oh, a corruptor able to catch the medevac, and now Zergling's gonna finish off those Marines. Back over here though, it looks like in comes a nice push with mass Marines. The drones are gonna quickly get killed. There are siege tanks in the back in a very defensive posture. 3-3 upgraded Marines, and right now I believe Puma has the advantage, even though he is currently upside down on supply and just lost the command center. This is horrible news for Puma. Puma now running essentially off of 1 base only, as these mineral patches are running a little bit low. You can now see the Marines are trying to perhaps get some easy damage on those Mutalisks if they try to fly by, and it looks like they are going to fly by, and oh, Idra losing so many of his units right there. And that was a hard loss by Idra. His army now, I believe, slightly smaller, or his mineral army is slightly smaller, even though he still does have a slightly larger gas army. But in comes Broodlords. Broodlords, the perfect transition now from Idra. He does have infestors. Infestors are very nice alongside Broodlords, offering some anti-air and also being able to make sure that the Marines are not able to stim and get underneath those Broodlords. The Broodlords do have an armor of 1 that does help them, but we'll see what's going to come in next, as Vikings are now getting in position. Siege tanks and Broodlords are just trying to fly their way around, and it looks like the Broodlords are going to now get countered by Vikings. The Vikings getting some easy shots on those Broodlords so far. The Broodlords being forced to pull back. No, going to try to engage. In comes a fungal growth, and down goes another Broodlord. It looks like, yes, it will get destroyed. Another fungal growth coming in once again, and damage, wave after wave. But Idra does, I thought he had Neuroparasite. It doesn't look like he does. With no Neuroparasite, he will not be able to take control of those Thors at all. Now, Baneling's Nest, Hatchery, Evolution Chamber, no missile upgrades whatsoever at all. A Zergling hiding off in the shadows right next to that Zelnaga, or not the Zelnaga, the sensor tower, staying outside of radar range, as we are now going into Puma's finally able to establish this fourth base pretty easily. You can see that the main base over here has been lifted off, as we can see once again more Marines able to snipe down another Vespene Geyser. So another Vespene Geyser has been destroyed. It looks as though Idra is reestablishing his 11 o'clock expansion location, as Idra is now about 4,000 resources ahead in terms of total resources, but a lot of them are in these very expensive mutas, 1,000 minerals and 1,000 gas. Idra, however, trading his army for Marines. That's not something you would normally want to do, but he needed to make sure that he could establish and hold on to that gas expansion. Puma with now mass Marines and siege tanks and Thors continuing this push once again. You can see, a murder of Broodlords absolutely getting destroyed. There goes another. The Mutalisks are quickly trying to scramble to get back into this engagement, but I believe it's going to be all too much, as the Vikings are now going to provide some air support instead and start destroying these spine crawlers. Idra has an uphill battle to go right now. He has the smaller army. He has 21 SCVs. Wow, so Puma only has 21 SCVs right now, and after all of those constant battles back and forth, and Puma really just being forced to use mules in order to stay in this game. He's sitting on only 440 resources, as once again infested Terrans are now once again being spawned inside the base of, inside this fourth base of Puma. Puma, however, it does have a larger army right now, trying to fight back and trying to engage when it makes sense, but I believe the siege tanks are quickly going to get destroyed, as there are no Vikings available in order to engage against that Broodlord. 5 hit point Viking, and that is it. It looks like the Thors are going to try to engage. In comes the fungal growth. No fungal growth at all, as the Marines are able to perhaps do a little bit of a counter push. This one Viking worth its weight right now. It is very low on hit points and finally gets destroyed, but not after destroying a couple or dealing a lot of damage to a couple Broodlords. 2 new Vikings now being engaged, and it looks like the Vikings are gonna just push back against these Broodlords once again. A lot of those Broodlords are low on hit points, but the Vikings do not give chase. 3 very low hit point Broodlords able to live and fight another day. Puma now in trouble, down to 19 SCVs. He definitely needs a lot more mules. It looks like he will be able to run off of 3 bases with those mules, but unless he consistently calls mules and doesn't scanner sweep, he's gonna run out of resources, and in a hurry. Mutalisks and Banelings once again regathering themselves in the center portion of the map. Zerg Carapace flyer upgrades, level 2 armor for all of those corruptors, so the corruptors will be taking reduced damage from those Marines, which is absolutely important, reducing the damage from 9 down to, I believe, 6 after that armor upgrade has completed. A couple of transfusions coming in as well in order to heal up a lot of these Broodlords. Only 2 low hit point Broodlords, and everything else is in the orange or the yellow red. It spoke too soon, as Puma able to hunt down, and there's a fungal growth, but all that does is really allow Idra to lose another one of his units. Another fungal growth finally coming in, and it looks like one more fungal growth finishes it off, as the Broodlords may try to make their way in and just destroy this army. It looks like massive Broodlings are coming and raining down from the sky. Broodlord after Broodlord, Broodling after Broodling, and now those Broodlords are forced to pull back. It looks as though, are we going to get a fungal growth? No, as the siege tank's able to double up and destroy that one particular infestor. Back over here, we see Puma still running off of this essentially one base right now. Meanwhile, Idra is essentially running off of one base and some long distance mining. There is still 3 Marines over here, so the Marines do know that another hatchery has been built. They can see it off in the distance, and we'll see what exactly Puma strategies will be now. In comes some more Vikings once again, but a fungal growth stopping them in their tracks. Another round, but oh, a nice siege tank blast, able to take down more infestors. So Puma has a very strong defense, and this is one of those situations where Idra wants to try to break this front door, but he hasn't been able to. These Marines and these medevacs have been constantly causing a lot of pressure and harassment. Both sides have killed a lot of workers. The only difference is that Idra can replace those workers much more quickly with the help of spawn larvae. But now Idra himself is down to 64 harvesters, but Puma down to 22, as now Puma looks to establish a new expansion down over here. Zerglings will quickly spot this, however, and with no planetary fortress and no natural defense, Puma's not going to be able to hold onto this expansion for very long unless he tries to bring back some units. A lot of Broodlords still in the air. Broodlings are trying to drop themselves. It looks like they are going to be able to drop themselves straight onto those Marines. Vikings need to get in position to hunt down and destroy all of those Broodlords. Broodlords do move rather slowly, but with that base 3 armor, it does reduce the amount of damage that these Vikings do from 14 down to 11 times 2, so 28 down to 22, a significant reduction when you try to calculate how many kills how many shots it takes from a Viking in order to shoot down a Broodlord. Infestors are still in play. Army composition much larger for Zerg. Once again, sitting at almost 1,500 total resources. More Mutalisks being added, more Zerglings being added, as both sides are just trying to hold and hang on ever so barely. Very large army of Marines are fully upgraded. 3 upgraded Marines. Banelings, Amulets trying to push in, and oh, those Banelings, are they going to be able to? Oh, they do melt a few row of Marines, but at the cost of a lot of Mutalisks. That was not a very decent trade at all. Neither was that, as Puma getting a free kill off of a Mutalisk that Idra just overcommitted into a fight with nothing else. You can see that there are still 11 Broodlords in the air, and they are now trying to make their way in. Broodlings are raining down from the sky once again. Vikings able to get even more damage again. So really, the Vikings are trying to destroy all of those Broodlords, but Corruptors are now engaging, and the Corruptors are going to cause a bit of a problem, as Corruptors do move faster than Vikings, even though they have less range. Corruptor, Idra sitting at 180 over 200, Puma sitting at 159, and still we are sitting on a very low number of harvesters, 16, but those 4 mules are more than making up for it for Puma right now. Puma, overall economy just slightly weaker than his opponent, but not that much gas, and that is going to be a real trying issue, as the Vikings are now simply destroying so many of those Broodlords. Corruptors are trying to engage, and in comes a fungal growth. The Corruptors may try to push in once again, but in comes the Marines. The Marines are going to do a bit of a counter, and it looks as though some fungal growths are going to hit down without any issue, and now the Corruptors are trying to finally go after those Vikings, but they may be joining the party just a little bit late, as there are Marines on the low ground to deal some free damage, and now Idra losing almost 90 food worth of his army. Meanwhile, Puma sitting at 90, so he is still about 20 behind, but you gotta also remember that Idra is also 20 harvesters up, so in terms of overall army size, it is about even right now, as we can now see 95 compared to 86 in total food count. Alright, so long game so far, really no end in sight, as the Zerglings are now trying to push up this ramp. Perhaps they're going to try to put some pressure at this natural expansion this expansion once more. There is going to be a bunker down over here. Marines are now attempting to take down this hatchery, limiting Idra to one base once again. One base Idra is not a happy Idra, as Idra really wants to be able to macro up. These extractors are or have run out of gas already. Same thing with this and this and this over here. So we'll see where he's going to go for additional gas. He has been training Banelings, Ultralisks, and Broodlords with Corruptors, all very expensive gas units, as down goes that Spinecrawler, and we may have an elevator drop onto the low ground once again. No, it is going to be a Viking. So a Viking now joining on the low ground, going to start shooting and pecking away at this hatchery, as a lot of damage could be dealt if a Viking goes unanswered. Infestors are now just scampering across the map. It looks like they want to try to get some fungal growths off and destroy everything that's happening down over here. Idra knows that he needs to deal some damage, and deal some damage good, as the siege tanks are backing off in order to try to defend this location. One bunker is now down. It looks like another bunker may get taken down in just a moment. No, a second bunker not taken down just quite yet, as Marines, getting caught in transit. And now in come this group of Marines. Fungal growth doesn't go down, and Puma able to finish off all of that, as Marines are now once again trying to push their way into the main base, or into this main mining base now. But Idra responding very well with Corruptors and Zerglings, and then may be able to destroy all of the medevac and all of those Marines once more. So both players now only operating off of one base. You can see this base here. Meanwhile, you can see this base here by Idra. Idra's base is down to 1,100, 1,200 hit points. Meanwhile, Puma sitting at 1,500, but he really needs to play it safe. He perhaps calling in some additional mules will help him mine more efficiently. It looks like he did call in mules over here at the what is this? The center 6 o'clock expansion location. No one's natural, and now we are just waiting to see what the epic outcome of this battle will be. Zerglings now once again running back into the base over here. It looks as though Idra wants to establish up another hatchery in order to be able to freely macro even further. Meanwhile, you can see that there is one infestor over here just hanging out above the mineral line and constantly keeping track of what his opponent is doing. Zerglings now simply going to perhaps do a run by or a swarm by in just a moment, getting a little bit of easy damage there. You can see that this hatchery is getting unloaded with Marines already. The Zerglings are quickly coming in to respond, and down go those Marines, as those Marines just have been doing a lot of damage continually throughout this matchup. 60 Marines compared to the tier 189 Zerglings. But the 60 Marines definitely have a much heavier food cost, as I believe the Thor and the Marines are once again on the move. It looks as though this one orbital command will get destroyed by a Broodlord on the high ground. Is it true? We'll have to just wait and see, as that Broodlord simply ignoring the medevac of Idra, and now in comes the Broodlings. The Broodlings are now gonna get a lot of easy damage onto those onto these Marines, and finally able to take care of it. Back over here, it looks as though Puma being forced to once again lift off his units, as he does not have enough to truly engage right now, and these creep tumors are still spreading their way across the map. Marines about to get destroyed by all of these Zerglings once again, and there is the GG. So a GG by Puma, giving Idra a 2-0 lead in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.